morning, guys. Welcome to day 158 until I'm a YouTube millionaire. Today is going to be a review of the book Bullshit Jobs by David Graeber. An overview before we talk about anything else. Personal opinion. I was not a huge fan of it. Bullshit jobs exist, especially the way they're explained in this book, in large part. However, those bullshit jobs are mostly tied to the fact that the central banks exist. Without central banks, bullshit jobs would not be a thing. So he gives us 5 different categories of bullshit jobs. Flunkies, goons, duct tapers, box tickers, and ticket masters. Flunkies are people like an entourage, those who you have around to make yourself look more important. Nobles back in the Middle Ages, all the way up to the Victorian era, I suppose, had people that would surround their caravan just to clear rocks out of the sidewalk or the path that they were walking down. The job didn't really have a purpose. It was just given one tacitly, except to give the person coming through the city or the town more gravitas, because there's more people around them. Makes it look like they're more important, obviously. Then you have goons, people like tax collectors, I guess. Those who will go around and be enforcers, stuff like that. And then you have duct tapers, which basically are people that have jobs that are only designed to make 2 incompatible systems or more somehow work together. Now that, I just don't like that. I don't like that idea, because what this is, what all of these are simply a market inefficiency. Truly, he's making this argument for all of these bullshit jobs being bullshit because he believes that we should have already gotten to a 15-hour work week. I do agree with him. However, these quote-unquote bullshit jobs are only really bullshit because of the market inefficiency. We have not found a way to substitute them yet, and there are still things that the people in those jobs are actually doing that are useful. A security guard, for instance, might sit on his butt 99% of the time, but he's there simply to be a body. That's why he is there, or she, whatever. Usually they're males. That in and of itself is not bullshit. There is a purpose to that. Now, if you're trying to fill out paperwork for bureaucratic nonsense, that's legitimate bullshit. And that is principally caused by government and central banking. So anyways, duct tapers, box tickers, people basically just going through checklists to ensure other people are doing their jobs or maintenance is being fulfilled, all that stuff. Again, not a bullshit job. There's purpose to that. The only time it really becomes bullshit is when the government gets in and has those box tickers simply for excessive regulation purposes. Honestly, I'm a libertarian minarchist, I'm a conservative minarchist, so basically I want the government as small as it can possibly be. But I know that because we're human, we basically need that little piece of evil, if you will, government being a necessary evil, in order to stem the tide of the darker aspects of our spirits, of our beings, because you might consider yourself a moral person, and perhaps you are. But when you try to attribute your own morality to others who do not have that morality, that is very dangerous. That is suicidal empathy. It's just not the case. Human beings are different. To discover that there are people actually out there like a George Soros and an Alex Soros that just want to watch the world burn. Or, as Michael Caine says in the movie Batman about the Joker, some people just want to watch the world burn. This is true. And you and I can't understand that because it's not the way we think, it's not the way we are. But there are people out there like that. And they're the reason that regulation, at least tacitly, at least a little bit of it needs to be there until we can completely disassociate from those entities. But we can't. We live in this world right here and now. We have to accept it as it is, meet each other where we are, and therefore we have this. But I want a government as small as possible. And then we have ticket masters. Essentially he's saying jobs that could be taken over by automation. Those jobs, if they still exist, are not bullshit. Just because people get those jobs and they expect 100% fulfillment from them does not make the jobs themselves bullshit. It doesn't. You could do what Google does. The company Google. Basically, they give a person a job that fits the job description on the resume. Maybe they pay them $100,000 a year for it, which is pretty typical for Google nowadays. Maybe 120, whatever, to be just a person that's working in a cubicle at Google. And then they say 20% of your time is dedicated to your personal projects, whatever you want to do, but you have to do it. That's what can happen in this world. It's not a universal basic income, which is what David Graeber advocates for something for which he advocates, which I find nonsensical, because he claims himself to be an anarchist, but he very, very clearly is a leftist. Very clearly. It's abundantly obvious. And while I don't know the details of his personal life or anything, aside from what's in this book, him having been a professor at Harvard, trying to take advantage of becoming or creating a union there. He was one of the people that was heading it up and therefore got booted from the university. Ironically, oh, you want to take advantage of unions, but you're an anarchist. Okay, sure. I believe you. Right. Disingenuous jackass. Anyways, I would assume that he is a leftist atheist. I think that's a pretty easy assumption to make. Another thing that really not just bothered me, but infuriated me about what he was writing about in this book. He gets to his political stuff mostly in the last 40 pages of the book. The rest of the book, he's actually trying to outline what he considers a bullshit job. The last 40 pages, he's dedicating basically to his political philosophy, his own call to action, even though he doesn't want to call it a call to action. It is. He is a fan of people like Michel Foucault, who is not only a degenerate BDSM enjoyer, but was a PDF file. Okay, if those are the people that you aspire to be like, I don't really want to hear what you have to say. GTFO, dude. No, not acceptable. Get out of here. A man's job is to protect. Doing something like that, being a PDF file, is destroying purity and innocence and is utterly disgusting. To even be remotely in support of that, or a person who is in support of that, is unacceptable. No. Well, at the same time, I agree with the general concept that yes, bullshit jobs exist. And at least I will give him credit where it's due. He does mention that the financial institutions, the financial industry, is the primary cause of most of the bullshit jobs in this world. I would say you can read this book safely, to not corrupt your own personal perspectives on the world, if you go into it understanding the biases of David Graeber, which he tries to hide aside from calling himself an anarchist, which is a lie. It's just a lie. He's not an anarchist. So in general, he's very gung-ho about teachers, for example, but neglects to mention the fact that teachers, especially in the modern age, are all about brainwashing, at least when it comes to public education. There is a reason that conservatism, the right, conservative Christians, if you will, are so adamant about homeschooling, minimizing public education, privatizing it, and it's because I don't even really have to explain this, but at the same time I should, because apparently if there's a guy like David Graeber who still can't see it, he's not stupid. He's not stupid. He's very bright. But if he still can't see it, then I still have to explain it. Which is to say, have you not seen the critical theories that are being propounded to children nowadays? A book like, the name eludes me right now, but there are some lewd books that are being taught in elementary school nowadays. This guy, he's, believe from Great Britain. So I guess he's kind of, in that aspect, a product of the deterioration of his own society. Because the United Kingdom, such a beautiful country, such amazing people, unfortunately, horribly, horribly socialist. Socialism and communism do not work. Period. End of story. They don't. Communism can only, I say that, but then I'm going to give you a caveat. Communism can only work in groups of 300 at maximum or less. You can't go bigger than that because you have to be able to know the people personally. And 300 is about the limit that people can know one another personally. Because otherwise they're going to take advantage of you. Socialism is the same type of thing. It's the younger stepbrother, if you will, of communism. Socialism eventually leads to communism. It's not good. You are an individual. You exist. He's also a climate alarmist and all that stuff, and it's like, yeah, anyway. Overall, I would say, I can't remember who recommended that I read this book, but overall, I can't say that I give it a strong recommendation for those who are new to critical thinking, if you will. But if you want to give yourself a critical thinking challenge and you think you can handle it, then there's good information in this book. Bullshit jobs do exist. They primarily come from central banking, finance, but the book itself is, yeah, like I said, I can't remember who recommended me to read it, but there you go. All right. There you go, guys. That's all I got for today. Love y'all. Peace.